So, good afternoon. We're here today at the fifth edition of ESFE, joined by Ms. Rashmi Sharat, ma'am. We're so pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was such an honor to be invited, and also we're having a great time here today.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, with the first question being centric about early childhood, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think it is so important to have this discussion today? Because it shapes the life trajectory of an individual. So, why do you think that this should be more prioritized as a conversation today?
Early education is what you're talking about. Early childhood also. Early education plays a vital role in early
Right.
childhood, and 90% of the brain development happens in the early childhood. So it's so important for us to focus on, be it analytical reasoning, sensory building. All that happens maximum in the early childhood, and it's also right for that same reason to choose the right school. Make
Right.
sure that's more like now NEP 2020 has come up with more experiential learning, so that's important rather than just going with our traditional methods, because that brings in so much more brain stimulating learning, which is a lot more important. And that's why we always say early years, like I said, many things, be it social empathy it teaches in the early years. So we teach that in school. Discipline is taught. Didn't we all learn our discipline first in our school? So all that is taught, and also children pick languages, numeracy skills, literacy skills. Everything starts. The first foundation is early education.
Yes, ma'am. So, as you talk about social skills, how
Yes.
do we ensure that an environment is built around the student learning these skills very naturally?
So, right after COVID, right after the pandemic, when we had a shutdown of all the schools, there were a lot of parents who came back later to us to enroll their children, not because earlier, just before COVID, because we were running for about 8 years
Right.
before that as well. Parents were so academically oriented. How much did my child do? How did they perform in an assessment or a worksheet? That was all their focus. But the minute it was post pandemic and our schools opened up, we had so many parents coming in and just saying we want our child to be socially, they just want them to develop their social skills, because they were all inside the house and not even grandparents, just the parents the children were seeing for the 2 years. So they were the children, most of them had major anxiety when they were looking at anybody else, be it even in a play area or even a park when they go. So that they wanted to deal with initially. Nobody was looking at, like I said, academics is not a main focus at early years, because the child will eventually learn. But like I
Right.
said, social skills and being in an emotionally safe place, the environment, being in a vibrant environment, that's what. So what we do is, there are a lot of friends that are there, right? So that's why most parents, when they come, the kind of typical questions that come is, how many children are there in your school? They would never want their child to be in a school which has only two or three kids, because they want their child to interact with other children, and that will ideally happen even if it's a daycare. They ideally happen only if there are minimum of 20, 25 kids. So the child learns various things, like I said, empathy, sharing, then how to build in resilience, all
Right.
that comes in, and to be more confident to come forth and ask anything. And then team building, negotiating when they have to negotiate with their space or their toys, everything comes. So social skills is very important.
Right. But I think this education and the upbringing of this child starts from the home itself. We talk about the role about the parents.
Yeah.
I think parents also have a great hand in leading that trajectory, right? How do you maintain a balance between that anxiety that you spoke about and making sure that the parents are also careful at the same time?
You're telling only in terms of the entire preschool learning, parent involvement
Preschool
in.
learning, and I think that also shapes their way forward.
Yes. So at my school, if I'm going to talk specific to our schools,
Right.
we keep the parents very involved in the learning process, in the learning
Right.
journey. We get them to do many things as a part of the learning journey. In fact, on a daily basis, we send out whatever the child has been taught for the day, the activities, the learning activities, or daily, right from the assembly till the child's, whatever takeaway has been done, or academically what the child has done. We keep the parent quite involved. Parent
Right.
is quite updated, because in our category of children, age category you're handling, the child can't go back home and talk much about what has happened. Older children itself, they don't say much that happens. So so we keep them involved, and then we do a lot of events with parents. Parent teacher assessments are there. I mean, apart from assessment, basically a conversation where we
Right.
collab with them for many things. So to keep them very involved in the whole journey, and every day I dispersively try and talk to parents at the time of welcome. So to understand, is there anything else they want us to put in on that particular day with the child? For example, their father is traveling and they want us, today can you be a little more sensitive with my child, he's already a little low. All that we kind of, yeah.
Have you observed a personal change in parents' mindsets? Because we come from a traditional, conventional mindset, right, of rote learning, or at least even in the earlier years. How do you think that Indians are actually ready for this change of creating an environment where they can learn naturally?
I think now parents are very well aware. At least, like I said, I have my schools in a metropolitan city like Bangalore. Parents are very well aware, and their expectations are quite high. And now with all this YouTube and Instagram and all that, they're so updated, and they keep comparing with their friends' kids, and they're like, we want this. This is coming new. Don't do the traditional method. But the only thing that they still expect traditionally is the assessments, worksheets, academically. So there's a good mix of parents, but I feel a larger portion has kind of moved the other side.
Right, ma'am. And from the educator's point of view, what is one belief that you've commonly seen educators hold that is wrong?
I think, again, on this educators, one thing that I feel is a little wrong is because this most of the schools are so, as much as they say they were into holistic learning and we want to
Right.
put the, our school caters to so many extracurricular activities, but still the portions are so vast.
Right.
How is a child going to, or even for a teacher, I feel, it's a little unfair because the teacher is asked to do activities and keep it as fun as possible in class for the child, but the portion is so vast the teacher has to finish that also. So end of the day, what you're teaching in an experimental way, has it gone into the child's brain? No, because the teacher's in a rush to finish
Right.
it, because back of her mind she thinks she has to complete so much of the portion before the assessment or the exams coming in, and the child should be quite well prepared for that. And if she feels end of the day that is what the parent or the management is judging her performance on, which I feel we should lessen up the portions at every stage. At every stage in India, it has to come right from early years till grade 12.
Right.
Somewhere it is quite intense and vast.
There's a lot of talk about holistic learning, but the implementation is actually what is need to be developed on. Uh, Talking about philosophies of school holding holistic learning, what have been the philosophies that you've personally held that have guided your decisions in your journey?
From my childhood, if I say, I can bring in even things from my childhood.
Right.
So, like I said, I was into sports in my childhood. As much as I used to dread it during my childhood because I hardly had time. I was a badminton player, so I used to play about 6 7 hours a day.
Wow.
So it was quite hectic, and I used to get very very pressured by it. I used to tell my parents it's a little too much. But I feel, if there is a lesson that I've learned out of it, number one is how to manage time, because I still performed well with academics. So we're trying to, manage time and still complete homework, because there's no excuse you can go back to school and give, right? Today I see children, if they have tomorrow, like suppose today if there's even a birthday party to attend, tomorrow they have an exam, they're like, how am I going to do the birthday party and the exam? No, you need to manage. There's like, and plus we were into a lot of culturals in school, I was into. So I feel, sports has taught me grit, perseverance, resilience, that confidence has come in. And also with culturals, creativity, and expression. So I keep telling a lot of parents also, please put your child into, as much as you say you want your child to have a holistic development and everything, please enroll your child into multiple things. And I feel that is finally the entire personality development of a human. It's not just academics that's going to take you everywhere, right?
Right.
It's what you learn through various pieces of life, that is what is going to shape you finally. And I feel that being smart like that to handle that will somehow give you a great learning in life.
Right. From your personal experience, I can understand that it's actually going to shape the individual's mindset as well
Yeah.
about what decisions they want to take, how they look at different aspects of their
Yes,
life as
yes,
well.
yes.
Uh, with your experience, what would you say is one strategy that could be implemented in schools to actually imbibe this holistic learning?
To imbibe the,
Holistic learning.
like I said, no, bring in more stage events, bring in, collaborate with parents more, where you can bring out. See, the children mostly are very scared to come up on stage and talk.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of display of talent, like show and tell, fancy dress, art, dance, lot of not competition, like a display of talent. But we do give certificates to ones who have done extraordinary performances that day, because some way then there's a little motivation to strive better. So we do that, and that makes a large difference because there's a lot of things. That's why I'm saying back home they go and they want to do well, and they're happy to all. And we make children come forward, and we talk, give them a topic to talk on. They have to come in front of the entire school and talk.
Right.
Be it for any events or festivals, also they have to come and talk. So they come prepared with the notes, because I see mostly even children in grade 10 also are quite scared. And the day they have to come and read the newspaper, the news in school, or come and conduct the assembly or something, they're so scared that they literally they even make sure that they don't go to school. They don't even show up in school that day, which is quite sad. And we do a lot of annual days. Every year rather, we do annual day, sports day. So again, that they come up on stage and perform in front of 1,000 people, and there may be children who cry. There'll be children who perform so well in school that day they'll cry on stage. There'll be children who don't do well in school, but that day they'll be like the total rock star. They'll come in front of the stage and they'll perform so well. So I think we need to break that and ensure all this is part. A lot of art, a lot of sports, a lot of physical activities is part of the learning, is what I honestly feel.
Ma'am, with a short question, with three adjectives, how would you want an ideal classroom to look like?
Vibrant, interactive, and experiential, like more, like I meant the same thing. It has to be more activity driven.
Right.
A classroom, when you go, even if you look at the tools around, you should be able to take and be able to work on it. For a child it should look, and the classroom should look vibrant. Even for a parent, even if I am a parent, so when I go in also, I'll first see how vibrant the classroom is. It shouldn't have just like some charts and all made by teachers. It should have something even made by children, so that much work is
Do
also
you
done.
think that has a role in stimulating learning
Yes,
and that
yes,
environment as
100%, 100%. And children look forward to coming to school
well? Right.
because of
Rather
that.
than making it a monotonous
Yes, yes.
environment.
And they look forward, no, because of that. They know that, oh, tomorrow is going to be a fun day because my teacher is going to
Yeah.
get us all to do an activity rather than just coming and learning ABC. No, that's not what it is. We have to make it fun for children to come at any stage.
I can personally speak
Yes,
off of that
yes.
as well.
100%, yeah.
Right. And just coming to the end of this conversation, what do you think is the importance of having these types of conversations that ESFE is providing a platform for?
Yeah. I feel it's nice because there are a lot of, I can see various category of people coming in attending this today. It could be educators, it could be even people who are aspiring to start new schools, it could be teachers, and they are also kind of learning, and they're getting in great thoughts to start in. There's a lot of strength and there's a good guidance coming in. They know where to pick whom from, maybe even as a mentor.
Right.
If they want to pick a mentor from here today and they've come into a panel and they've heard someone talking and it kind of connects with their thoughts and ideology, they should like pick that person and connect with them, get them to guide them, because everybody in some stage in their life needs someone to guide them in the right way, or at least believe in their passion. So that is great, and you got so many vendors to come in together. So if we need to move up on the next any kind of upgradation in our schools, where are we going to look for something? It may be a thought in our head, but where are we going to find the right vendor for it? You have them all displayed here, which is a great thing being done here today.
It's
Yeah.
quite an exciting time to be here at ESFE with all individuals like-minded to be bring a transformation in the education space in
Yes,
India
yes.
today.
And I'm really happy and honored to be here today because it is quite a privilege. And most importantly, like I said, I could connect with so many people and gain some great insights into various levels of education. I'm not going to talk only in specific with early years. And we had some great people coming in and giving in their thoughts, which was amazing. And all the best, and hope you all do better and better.
Thank
every
you
year.
so much, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank you
very
for your
much.
time.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank you. Can I just take a small video on my phone?
Mark your calendars. October 6th, 7th and 8th. Nesco, Mumbai, the center of the educational universe. The biggest names are already there. Are you? Secure your spot. Register now at 9892227245 or visit our website.